Now at this hour, I am also joined by two men who are in the thick of things. Saba Karim, former cricketer, ex-general manager of cricket operations of BCCI, and Dhiraj Malhotra, the CEO of Delhi Capitals. Saba, I have to come to you for your reactions at this moment, because you are the one who when you were a part of BCCI, have been looking after women's cricket, and this must be a big moment for you as well.
Yes, Rick, absolutely delighted to hear this. And it's such a heartwarming gesture from BCCI. So many congratulations to all the women cricketers. And thanks to BCCI for coming up with this kind of a gesture. Much needed at this time and a welcome move. And I strongly believe that the golden era, or the golden age of women cricket in India has started with this equality in pay in terms of match fees for women cricketers. So many things have taken place in the past 3 to 4 years, and Diana rightly pointed out during her term as one of the members of the COA, there was a proper structure in place. The facilities for women cricketers improved, for traveling, stay improved. The match fees for the domestic cricketers that went up. Infrastructure-wise, women cricketers were given a much better place to play cricket. Now, all the matches that we have in India, the domestic games I'm talking about, all the matches are played at the centers where you have men cricket matches being played. So I think all that has been a great move from BCCI. And slowly and steadily one has seen the progress. And more importantly, Rika, it has all happened because women's sport has become very popular, not only in India, but globally. If you recall the last World Cup that took place in Australia, Melbourne, I believe, it had about close to 90,000 people watching the game. So one can understand the popularity of the sport, which has grown manifold.
Before I go to Dhiraj, I'll have to ask you about the one last thing you said. The final between India and Australia of the 2020 World Cup, would you say that was the tipping point?
Well, I think BCCI has realized that women's sport is growing in such a rapid manner. So I think one has to keep pace with. I would not use the word demand, but the requirements of women cricket. And I think that was kind of an eye-opener, not only for BCCI, but all those cricket fans in India, that, well, along with Team India, the men's team I'm talking about, you also have women cricket, which is doing very well. And that will also, that team also gives us such a proud feeling when we see them do well. So I think there's been a combination of factors that has helped BCCI to come up to this decision, but at the right time. And I'm so glad, Rika, that has happened.
Dhiraj, you come from the franchise side of things. You're the CEO of Delhi Capitals. Your first reaction to this, and what does this do to the brand value of these cricketers now, who will perhaps be auctioned or brought in through a draft for the women's IPL?
First of all, I think kudos to BCCI and everybody involved. I think it was high time coming. You look at how the pattern has changed for women's cricket. Look at how the following has changed. If you remember, the first T20 World Cup was in 2007, which was a standalone men's tournament. Then came the next few, 2009, 10, 12, 14, 16. All these T20 World Cups in which the women were it was the men's T20 World Cup and the women were just like a sideshow. And except for the semis and finals, which was played together, the women was played in some small grounds, whereas the men played in the main ground. Now women has their own T20 World Cup. Demand for that. Every match is televised. Earlier, only 2 or 4 matches of the women's T20 World Cup were televised. 2018 was the first women's World Cup. 2020, where India played in the finals, was the second. And now it's become a standalone event. If you remember the 2013 Women's World Cup in India, again, we played in smaller grounds. We didn't play in the main stadium. It's all changed. Again, ICC, earlier the women, men flew business, women flew economy, men stayed single rooms, women shared. It's all changed. Now it's all the same every tournament. The women and men get the same facilities. And because that's the demand, that's the appetite for women's cricket today. And previous question, I think 2017 World Cup finals, India-England, that just suddenly brought in a new kind of the fandom that happened with the women's cricket, the way the Indian women played. And that just changed. I mean, first time I saw in Lords, I was luckily working with ICC those days, and there was not a seat. And there were people desperate to come, and it was just a packed full house. And that's how it's become the norm of the game now. And for a franchise, I mean, look, women's IPL, we're all really excited. And I think I keep talking among other franchises, and we're all really upset that there are only 5 teams. I understand why there are 5 teams now, and they will go. But with 5 teams, 10 franchises, and also the open to the rest of the world, it'll be tough.
Saba, let me come over to you for the number of matches. Now, while we are talking about a pay parity, but there is also a great disparity in the number of matches that the women and the men's cricketers play. Do you think that, in the Future Toss program, not now, maybe not till 2025, the ICC and the BCCI will probably look at a way where women can play more number of matches, and then we can talk about the real parity?
Agreed.
It will happen.
This is for Saba. I'll come to you, Dhiraj.
Sorry.
It will happen, Rika. I think we need to be a little bit patient on this front. If you notice, the Indian domestic structure has improved. The number of matches the women cricketers get to play now, that has gone up. I was very happy to know that BCCI from this season has introduced under-16 interstate cricket. That has been the demand for a number of years. So I'm glad to see that the state bodies have got together, and BCCI has agreed to introduce the under-16 women cricket. And all of us have come from the under-15 days of men cricket. And we all know how helpful it was to promote cricket in India for men. And I'm very sure that same thing will happen for women cricket also. So in addition to the pay parity we're talking about, but infrastructure-wise, the number of games, all that is going up. And in future, I'm very sure that the Indian team, not only India, but other teams also, will get to play many more matches. We're talking about Test cricket here, Rika. There is a talk that now, because it's only Australia, England, and India, they play Test matches. There is a strong possibility that whenever there's a home and away tour between these 2-3 countries, there will always be a test match schedule. So all this bodes very well for the growth of cricket in India.
Dhiraj, we are all aware of how the IPL talent spotters go to different parts of the country ahead of every season. That happens with men's IPL. When the women's IPL is round the corners, other talent spotters all over the country. The women talent spotters all over the country now.
I mean, we are all observing it. We're watching it. It's just. To be fair on the franchises, it's very difficult right now to have a dedicated team doing that, because we don't even know if we'll get a franchise or not. If you talk to all 10, everybody wants to have a piece of the pie, but only 5 will get a team. So it's being watched, but yes, not so closely as the men. But the minute the teams who get, if Delhi Capitals were lucky to get and I say lucky because I think all teams want one. If we were lucky to get a team in the women's IPL, we'll definitely increase our scouting efforts, and it'll be more professionally done, the way what is being done right now.
Dhiraj, before I let you go, I'll have to ask you this one question about, spotting the talent from the available talent pool. How difficult is it? I mean, the talent pool is not as big as you had in men's cricket when IPL started, perhaps. So does that job make it more difficult for the franchises right now?
It does, but you have to realize it's at a nascent stage at the moment, Rika. If you look at the men's IPL, yes, there's a lot of depth, but you look at the talent pool today to what it was in 2008 when IPL started, there's a marked difference. And I see with the women as well, if you have the international players coming in, people sharing the dressing room with them, training with them, it'll just get professional. Also, it opens another avenue for a professional cricketer. Right now, yes, there's a lot of domestic cricket happening, but financially, it's just playing for India, and where you make more money. The minute the franchise level opens up, you'll have more women taking the game more seriously, and the standard go up. And there are 5 leagues now. I mean, there's Big Bash. There was just Big Bash earlier. There's Big Bash. There's the 100. There's CPL. Pakistan is talking of having a league. Everyone's now realizing that the talent will only grow. The talent pool will only keep growing.
Well, thank you very much, Saba and Dhiraj, for joining me to discuss this historic moment when BCCI has brought about a pay parity between the men and the women. They will get equal match fee for the matches they play for India.